London is a city built on bones, but what's buried beneath the floorboards of a dusty Hackney flat is far more ancient and far more bitter than a few old ribs. It started with a chime, not the sleek digital trill of an iPhone, but a heavy mechanical rattle that felt like it was shaking the very foundations of the house. Archie thought he'd scored the ultimate vintage find, a 1920s GPO candlestick phone, blacker than a blackout, its mouth shouting silence. He didn't know that every time the rotary dial spun back, it was winding up a clock on his own life. He didn't know that when the bell rings 3 times, you don't answer for a chat. You answer to hear exactly how many sunsets you have left.
Archie was a proper Londoner, the kind who spent his Saturdays hunting for treasures in the rain-slicked alleys of Portobello Road. The sky that day was the color of wet slate, and the wind had a proper bite to it. Tucked under a damp tarp in a dark corner of the market, he found it. The phone was unnervingly heavy, made of blackened brass. Its mouthpiece looked like a wide, hungry mouth swallowing the silence around it. The stall owner was a strange bloke. His skin hung off his face like yellowed parchment, and his eyes were sunk so deep into his skull it looked like he hadn't slept since the Blitz. "20 quid, mate," the seller croaked, not even looking up. "No returns. Once it's in your house, it's your problem. This ain't no toy, Arch." Archie was taken aback. How did the old nutter know his name? But living in Hackney, he'd seen all sorts of characters. He figured he'd misheard. For 20 quid, this was a right result. He lugged the heavy iron thing back to his flat, a cramped space in an old Victorian building where the wallpaper was always damp and peeling. He set the phone on his bedside table. It wasn't even plugged in. There wasn't a modern jack for it, just a frayed copper tail hanging from the back. He spun the dial. As the dial slowly returned to its place, Archie felt the temperature in the room drop several degrees.
That night, Archie was dead to the world until a violent sound tore him out of sleep. It was a piercing, mechanical scream that felt like a needle to the eardrum. Archie fumbled for his glasses. 3:33 a.m. The room was pitch black, save for the sickly neon glow of a street lamp filtering through the blinds. "What the?" he muttered. He looked at the cord. It was still frayed, resting uselessly on the carpet. Yet the phone was ringing. The internal hammers were slamming against the brass bells like they were trying to break them. His hand trembled as he lifted the heavy receiver. The earpiece was ice cold. He pressed it to his ear, expecting a prankster. Instead, he heard wet, heavy breathing, like someone was drowning in a puddle just an inch from the microphone. Then a foul smell filled the corner of the room, the scent of ozone, burnt copper, and wet earth. "Hello," Archie whispered. "7," a voice rasped. It wasn't human. It sounded like dry leaves scraping against a tombstone. "Who's this? Is this a joke?" "7 days, Archie. The operator is watching." The line went dead.
By the next morning, the vibe of the flat had shifted. The air felt thick, like he was breathing liquid lead. When he returned from his shift at a pub in Shoreditch, he found muddy footprints on his floor, small, like a child's, leading from his triple-locked front door straight to the phone on his bedside table. He tried to throw the thing in the bin, but as soon as he reached for it, his muscles seized. He was paralyzed. It was like the phone had its own gravity,
pinning him to the spot. At 3:33 a.m., it rang again. 6. Archie called his best mate, Alfie. "I'm losing it, Broth. This phone, it's talking to me. It's counting down." Alfie, a typical lad, just laughed. "You've been watching too many horror films, Arch. It's probably a Bluetooth prank. I'll come over tomorrow and sort it."
The next afternoon, Alfie arrived to find Archie huddled in the corner, eyes bloodshot. The walls were sweating a dark, oily substance that smelled like a London Underground drain. "Right, that's enough," Alfie said, stepping toward the table. "I'm taking this piece of junk and smashing it in the alley." "Don't touch it, Alfie! Don't!" Archie screamed, but Alfie didn't listen. As soon as his fingers brushed the brass, his body arched like a bow. His eyes rolled back until only the whites were showing. He didn't scream. He just let out a long, wheezing breath as the color was sucked right out of him into the wires. The phone rang while Alfie was still holding it. 3. The voice boomed, loud enough to crack the window pane. Alfie collapsed. By the time the paramedics arrived, his heart had simply stopped. They called it sudden cardiac event, but Archie saw Alfie's face. He looked like he'd been in a grave for weeks. As they took the body away, Archie noticed tiny initials scratched into the center of the dial. A.V. Archie had 2 days left. Alfie hadn't just died. He'd paid a portion of Archie's debt. The countdown was now at 3, and the shadows in the corner were moving closer.
Chapter 2 is landing proper soon.